welcome back to my channel. It is nearly the end of June, and I figured I would do a halfway through the year wrap up of all the books that I've read. I have about 19 of them. I don't know if how many you can see, but there's 19. And yeah, I'm just gonna give you a run through of what I thought, my ratings on them, and if I recommend them. Okay, I do want to start off by saying that the angles of this video might not be as consistent as they might be in the past. On one of my last videos that I've done similar to this, that is because of how I have to edit things. I don't have all of the books on me right now. There's about 5 books that I don't have on me right now because either they're my sister's or my aunt's or on borrow, like someone has it right now. So they might be a little different, and the way I have to edit it is I would have to I'll show you a book that I do have, and if it's a book I don't have, then I'm gonna have to stop the video, get a picture of it, do a voiceover, and then go back to the video. So that might take me a while because I'm not the best editor and all I have is my phone. So if only I had a camera, but I don't. That's because they are expensive. Anyway, our first book, I put them in order of how I read them. I'm currently halfway through another book right now. I just didn't include it in this because, I'm not done with it, so I don't have a full, not idea, but a full opinion formed on it. I will say it is the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I know that is a very popular book, but I'm not going to say anything right now. That will happen at the end of the year when I hopefully will have another book wrap-up video. So I wrote all of the stuff down and all my thoughts because I keep them all in an app, and I can't use the app because the app's on my phone and I'm filming with my phone. Anywho, our first book of the year is Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo. Leigh is probably my favorite author because I loved this series, and I also have Six of Crows in here, and it's right there, and I'll talk about her a little bit more in Six of Crows, but I gave this book a 5, and my favorite character was Nikolai. He was my favorite character in Siege and Storm, which is the second book of the series, and this is the third book of the Shadow and Bone series. And there's so much, oh my god, I couldn't put this book down. And then I watched the show, and certain things happened in this book that did not happen in the show. Therefore, I was very upset. But that's okay. The next book that I read was A Promise for Brianna by Al Lacey. I gave it a 3.5. I actually enjoyed this book because it was different from what I typically read, and it really focused on Christianity and had different quotes from the Bible in it, and it really empowered women because it showed the main character was a woman that was also a doctor, but she was a nurse, but whenever the doctor was there, but then when the doctor wasn't there the whole time at where she was, and so therefore people relied on her, and she was just a very brave woman. I love this book. There was there's a love story in it that was kind of, it wasn't it was on the back burner kind of thing. I actually recommend this book. Yes. Sorry for the blurriness of this picture, but the next book is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I love this book. I gave it a 5. It was my aunt's, so I had to give it back. I gave it a 5. I just literally could not put this book down. The chapters were super short, and I know it's not everybody's favorite because my friend literally just finished reading it after 2 years of trying to finish it. So it's not a book for everybody, but it was an amazing point of view. I loved it, and I highly recommend this literally to anybody. It was so good. It makes me want to read more of V.E. Schwab's books, but I don't want to ruin my love for this book by reading other books by them, because what if they're not as good as this book? This book, highly recommend. This is one of my top favorite books. And then the next book is The Hearts We Sold by Emily Lloyd Jones. I gave this a 5. Toward the beginning of the year, there's a lot of 5s. That is just a warning. And I'm very picky on my 5s. I gave this one a 5. It was really hard to put down. My favorite characters were James and Dee. Yes, you have to read the book to find out, and it's not a popular book, that I'm kind of shocked by, and I got it at a garage sale. And the author actually like sold or like signed this, and they were selling it, and I got it for like really cheap, and I was kind of surprised. Anyway, my thoughts on it that I had put in the app, besides my favorite characters, was take that as you will. There was a few things that were a little bit disturbing in here, and whenever it says the hearts we sold, it quite literally means hearts that they sold to a demon. So just a warning for this book. Next is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. Wherever it's Leigh Bardugo. I recommend this to my friend, and I got it for her birthday, and she loved it as well. This is a hands down 5. I recommend this so much. Leigh Bardugo does such a good job in this book, Shadow and Bone. I actually have another book by her called The Ninth House that I haven't read yet, but I'm sure that will be good. I love Leigh Bardugo. I will always stand by her. She's amazing. I love her work. So I gave this book a 5. My favorite characters in here were Kaz and Waylon. I do have the second book of the series. I'm gonna really have to do a TBR, like show you what all I have from my TBR right now, my physical TBR. I did wish that we had Waylon's point of view, because he was such an interesting character that because we didn't get that point of view, I feel like we missed out on a little bit of something. But otherwise, I highly recommend this book. And now I have Divine Rivals. This was also my aunt's. It was way better than I was expecting it to be, and way different than what I expected it to be. I gave it a 4.5, and it literally took me into another world, it felt like. It was insane. And it took me a while to read. I think that's the only reason why that I rated it a 4.5, because it wasn't flowing as fast as I would have liked it to be, but it was still a good book. Our next book is Twisted Games by Anna Huang. I love this book, like more than I probably should. I loved it. I gave it a 5, and I wrote in here, it is my new favorite book. Since I read something else that you will see later, it is now my second favorite book. But otherwise, this book, oh my gosh, I didn't want it to end. I wanted it to be this long, but it was just this long. It was so good. Get through the first book. The first book's really good, but it's still not my favorite. Like, I can't remember what happened in it, and I can remember what happened in here. Also, trigger warning, if you haven't heard anything about this book, it is spicy. It is spicy. Our next book is Caraval. Me and my friend were reading this at the same time. I think she finished a little bit before me, but that's okay. I gave it a 3.5. It was not my favorite. It was her favorite, so she loved this book. I didn't. The ending had a lot of twists and turns in it that I was not expecting, that I eventually got my head wrapped around, and I liked it, but it was so confusing that whenever I was reading it, I would like read it, and then I have to close the book and literally sit there and think, like, what does that mean? What does that lead to? What are they trying to refer back to? So just look out for that. My head was spinning quite a lot for this book, but otherwise it was a good book. Now this next book is Twilight by Stephenie Meyer. It is my sister's, so I had to give it back. I gave it a 4.5. I didn't have any thoughts on it because I had watched the movie as well, which I highly do not recommend, because that kind of ruined the fun part about creating the characters in my head, because I knew the actors, and so that's what I kind of envisioned. And also, I'm a Team Jacob girl. I watched the first and the second movie before I decided I really need to read the books, so I was full Team Jacob all the way. This book, I hate to say it, but my favorite character in this book was Edward. Take with that what you will. Sorry, this video might be a little bit long. I'm just really passionate about my books. So the next book I have is Scarlet, which is the second book of the Cinder series. She's a little bit beat up here, but that's mostly because it was from a garage sale. So that's okay. I still read it. I gave it a 4.5. It was better than I expected it to be. The beginning was a little bit slow, so I was like, oh no, am I going to be able to finish this book? I did. My favorite character was Wolf, and that's really all I have to say about this book, though. It's kind of sad. Next is Beautiful Graves, which I think is the first book that I actually, like, annotated And if you want more on the me annotating, just let me know and I'll probably include it in another video on how I do it. This video is just going to be too long for that. But it's Beautiful Graves by L.J. Shen. I loved this book. I gave it a 5 and saw the annotations because I was brave enough to do it in this book because I feel like I really felt it. And my favorite character is Joe, and I loved him from the start, and he is so good throughout this entire book. That was all my thoughts on that book. Next is my all-time favorite book. I don't know if you can see it in the camera or not, but it's my favorite book. I said that kind of about Twisted Games, but this is the one that topped it. It was indeed Fourth Wing. If my house is burning down, I will run to my room and grab this. I love this book. I wouldn't actually do that. I do not recommend that. Your house is on fire, get out. My favorite character in here was Aiden. Easy. I love this book. I got here, and which is like, I still had all of this left, and I didn't want it to end. I know there's another book, but I loved this book. I didn't know when I was going to get the second one. The second one is in my TBR right now. I love this book. I could not put it down. I will sleep with it every night. Not really, because that's weird. But I love this book. I know some people didn't enjoy it. But if you're one of those people that didn't enjoy it, I really want to hear your point of view because I loved this book. Anyway, The Stranger Upstairs is the next book. I rated this a 3.5. It is a horror book. I didn't have any thoughts on this actually. So read it at your own risk, I guess. I don't really remember what happens. Just that, oh, yes I do. So the family that lived in here thought they were going crazy, and because they kept thinking they heard something upstairs, hence the stranger upstairs. Crazy turn on what they were hearing. Okay, next. I'm really, my genres are all over the place, and you can blame my book board game for that. I have Insurgent. I don't know if I said that right. Insurgent by Veronica Roth. Loved this book. I gave it a 4 because it wasn't a 5. But I gave it a 4 because it was still really good. It kind of took me a while to get through because it's kind of big and it didn't flow as fast as Divergent did, but it was still, I think, better than Divergent. Favorite character is Tobias, hands down. If you don't think it's Tobias, who else would it be? Loved it. Next one is The Breakup Vacation. So I gave this one a 2.5. I thought this was one of an older book. I got this book for free, which is good because I didn't really enjoy it. It's 2.5. My favorite character was Daniel. I don't fully recommend this. It was not as good as I thought it was going to be. I think it's an earlier release too. It was released Advanced Readers Edition on sale 3/5/2024. So I think it got released either late 2023 or early this year. Not my favorite, actually. Sorry about that if you like it. It's by Anna Garcia. Okay, this book, also a lot of annotations, is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. It's my first Ali Hazelwood book that I have read. I gave it a 4.5. Not many thoughts on this, just that a lot of the terms in here I couldn't understand because it was sciencey. So I'll have to learn those eventually, but this was educating me, I guess. Loved Adam. He is Adam. Loved Adam. So good. Okay, next book, really surprised me actually. House of Salt and Sorrows. Definitely not what I was expecting it to be, but at the same time, I didn't really know what I expected it to be. People had recommended it as, if you'd watched Barbie and the 12 Dancing Princesses, that's what they referred to this as, which I can see. It is similar. She did have 12 princesses, siblings. She did have 12 siblings, and in total, including her. And they didn't have balls a lot, but definitely not, eventually the title made sense. Eventually the title made sense, because, house is an actual house full of the siblings. Salt, that's their setting. And Sorrows, you'll have to read the book to find out. But, whoa, that was a lot. Oh, did I ever say anything about this? I gave it a 4.5. Sorry, I went on my own little rant off my paper. My favorite character was Cassius. Loved Cassius, and especially the ending. Oh my goodness sakes. It had lots of twists. I'm not sure if I would reread this though, just because I know what happens. And so that was kind of the fun part about the book, because I didn't know what was going to happen. So, yeah. Another book I read that was also my sister's is The Summer I Turned Pretty. I did not watch the show, and I gave it a 3. It was not my favorite book. It was mostly just a really quick read. I am Team Jeremiah, if you guys are wondering. I'm Team Jeremiah, but also I haven't watched the show and I haven't read the rest of the books. I know he supposedly did something in either the show or the books, but I am Team Jeremiah for right now. And now on to my last 3 books. Or 2 books. 2 books. I can count. I have A Most Agreeable Murder. So I have annotations in this one as well. I get really excited with my annotations because I don't do them a whole lot, so yeah, I gave this one a 5. I got this from a little free library, which you probably saw me pick up, and if you've watched my other video. I really, really like this book. I knew I kind of would, but this is Beatrice, the main character, and I loved this mostly because I loved her, and she really embodied like women empowerment, and she didn't follow the guidelines that her family had set and like her community had set, which was like a very small community. It was a murder mystery. It was a lot of fun. Let's see what else I said. Yeah, women empowerment, she didn't follow the guidelines. Yeah, I pretty much said everything. 5, recommend, highly. It was set in like the 1800s, which you can probably tell by like how she's dressed and like, you know, the cover. But highly recommend this book. Not very popular, but highly recommendable. And then my most recent read was It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. First Tessa Bailey book. I was expecting it to be a little spicy, which it was. I gave it a 5, and I absolutely loved the relationship between the 2 main characters. And I loved the character development of Piper, which is her, and their relationship was so cute. I was like, oh my goodness, I love this book. This book was amazing. Those were my thoughts. I highly recommend this, and I love the character development, and I love the relationship. So, and it was on like a small town seaport, and it was like popular like LA girl meets like crab fisherman, and loved it. It was a little bit of enemies to lovers, and it switches point of views, but it doesn't tell you that it switches point of views. It just does it. And I kind of wish that it said like Brendan, which is the guy, or Piper, but it doesn't. So anyway, and then the second book is supposed to follow Piper's sister. Love that. Anyway, those were all of the books that I read this not this year, all the way up until now, and I hope you enjoyed. I really want to hear your guys' feedback about some of the books that I loved or I hated, like what you thought, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, and like why. Yeah, so I hope I see you guys again later, whenever I film another time for maybe another wrap up, or I really want to redo my bookshelf. So if you guys want to see me do that, it's not a very big bookshelf. I'm not that kind of person yet. I would love to have a huge bookshelf, but right now it's just small. So if you guys want to see me like reorganize it and my thought process behind it, let me know. But anyway, bye guys!